Welcome specifically to the next episode of Beyond the Veil. It is really good to have you here with us today for what I think is going to be a very grounding conversation.
It really is. And honestly, given the kind of week everyone seems to be having out there, grounding is exactly the word we need today.
Yeah, before we even open the dossier for today's deep dive, I was just scrolling through the headlines this morning with my coffee. And I mean, it just feels like the volume knob on the world is stuck at maximum right now.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just loud, it's distorted.
Distorted, yes.
Yeah.
It's totally relentless. You open your phone and it's economic instability. Then you swipe and it's extreme social division. Then another swipe and it's some new global crisis.
Right. And it creates this constant hum of anxiety in the collective consciousness.
It really does. And look, we aren't taking sides here on any of that stuff. We're just observing the weather, so to speak. But you just can't ignore the sheer volume of it all. It is incredibly overwhelming for the average person.
It is. That constant input creates a sort of static in the mind. It makes it very hard to think clearly, let alone feel connected to anything deeper.
Exactly. And that static is exactly why we are doing what we do here. In fact, if you want a deeper and more advanced and accurate take on spirituality, this podcast is for you.
We are definitely here to cut through that static today.
You certainly are. So today we are looking at a really compelling piece of writing. It's a PDF article titled The Quiet Exodus: Why More Souls Are Choosing Simplicity. And this is written by Master Spiritwalker, or Spirit, as we often refer to him here.
Yeah, what I find so fascinating about this text, especially right now with all that noise we just talked about, is the framing.
Yeah.
Usually when we talk about people stepping back from society, it gets framed as a collapse.
Right, or a retreat.
Exactly, a retreat. But Spirit frames what we are seeing not as a collapse, but as a recalibration.
I really love that word, recalibration, because it implies intention.
It implies intelligence. Think about it. A machine recalibrates when it's off balance to save itself. Spirit argues that this stepping back we're seeing in the culture isn't a weakness at all. It's a highly intelligent spiritual response to that noise.
So let's unpack this a bit for everyone, because Spirit starts the article by identifying the phenomenon itself. He calls it the quiet exodus. And he notes, and I think this is so incredibly accurate, that it's subtle.
Very subtle.
It's not loud. It is definitely not trending on social media.
Well, by definition, the people doing it aren't posting about it. They're the ones slowly disappearing from your feed.
Exactly. They're gone. He lists these symptoms of the exodus. People are downsizing their living situations. They're unsubscribing from newsletters and streaming services. They're moving out of these crushed, high-density cities.
Working remotely if they can, turning off all their notifications.
Yeah, and quitting careers that they used to think define their entire existence. Just generally wanting less. But here's where it gets really interesting in the deep dive, because the media spins this completely differently. There is a huge misconception about why people are doing this.
There really is. The mainstream narrative often labels this behavior as quiet quitting or lying flat.
Right.
There's this derogatory idea that if you step back, it must be driven by fear or escapism or laziness.
Yeah.
Like a lack of ambition.
Like, oh, they just can't hack it in the real world. They're giving up.
Exactly. But Master Spiritwalker is very clear here in the text. This is not fear-driven, and it's certainly not laziness. He points out that the people choosing this simplicity are often the most thoughtful, capable, and intelligent souls out there.
They aren't failing at the system.
No, they're making a conscious choice to opt out of a system that demands infinite growth. It's a system that just demands more.
Always more. He lists it out in the article. More productivity, more income, more consumption, more visibility. It's a treadmill that never stops.
And these intelligent people are looking at that treadmill and asking, to what end? If the prize for winning the rat race is just becoming a faster rat, maybe it's time to stop running.
Yeah.
It's a recalibration of values. It's not a regression. It's a move towards sanity.
Which leads us directly to the why. Like, why is this happening right now? And Spirit brings up something that I think we all feel physically. He talks about the nervous system.
This is the biological anchor to the whole spiritual concept.
Yeah.
Spirit explains that the human nervous system was simply not designed for endless exposure.
No, not at all.
We aren't built to process global economic instability and digital stimulation 24 hours a day.
There's this line in the text that really stuck with me. He says, what used to feel exciting now feels exhausting.
That is a profound observation.
It really is, isn't it? I think about how maybe 5 or 10 years ago, the hustle, the notifications popping up on your screen, it felt like you were plugged in, it felt electric. And now it just feels like a drain.
That's the body pulling inward. Spirit describes this beautifully. He says the soul narrows its focus to regulate itself.
To regulate.
Yes, it's a survival mechanism, but on a biological and spiritual level. When the external world becomes too chaotic, the healthy response is to limit the input.
It's kind of like when a computer is overheating. The fans kick on and it slows down all the background processes just to keep from melting down.
That's a great analogy. But there's another layer here that Spirit touches on, which goes beyond biology. He talks about the death of certainty.
Oh, this is a big one. This felt like the real aha moment of the deep dive for me.
It really reframes things.
Yeah.
Because for a long time, there was this unwritten social contract. If you follow this specific path, get the degree, get the career, buy the house, chase the status, you are guaranteed stability.
You trade your time and your effort for safety. That was the deal we were all sold.
Right. But that external certainty is completely thinned out. We all know people who did everything right and still feel precarious. They're still anxious about money. They're still burnt out. So Spirit notes that because we can't rely on those external structures for certainty anymore, the soul stops building outward and starts building inward.
So the security question entirely shifts. It used to be, what can I accumulate to be safe? And now it's, what do I actually need?
And that is a dangerous question for a system built on constant consumption. If everyone asks, what do I actually need? The whole machine slows down. But it is a deeply liberating question for the individual.
And the priorities he lists are so stripped down. Less debt, less clutter, less drama, more presence.
Less performance.
That's the one. Less performance. I think so many of us feel like we are constantly performing our lives for an audience rather than actually living them.
Precisely. And Master Spiritwalker makes a point to say that this isn't some brand new phenomenon. This has historical context. He mentions that old souls have always done this throughout history.
It's cyclical.
Exactly. It's cyclical, not the end of the world. Whenever a dominant structure starts to feel misaligned or too heavy, the sensitive, thoughtful people, the old souls, they move closer to the land. They simplify their rhythms.
And they don't do it to protest or hold up signs. They are doing it to live differently.
To find a rhythm that actually makes sense.
I want to pivot a bit here to the practical side of this because Spirit is very clear about a distinction that I think is crucial for you listening right now. Simplicity is not poverty.
That is a vital distinction in the text.
Can you break that down? Because I think people hear simple life and they automatically think struggle. They think about being forced to give up comforts.
Right. But poverty is when you are forced into lack by external circumstances. It is disempowering. Simplicity, on the other hand, is when you choose less because you realize you don't need more.
It's intentional.
Highly intentional. Spirit calls it sovereignty. It means you are the ruler of your own domain. You decide what enters your life and what stays out.
There is almost a manifesto quality to this part of the text. I'll just quote it. He writes, I don't need 5 streaming platforms. I don't need constant upgrades. I don't need to argue with strangers online.
I don't need to prove myself every day. That is the core of it.
It's about making your life smaller on purpose so that your inner world can grow larger.
And if you are listening to this and you're nodding your head,
Yeah.
thinking, yes, this resonates, but how do I actually navigate this? How do I find that clarity in a noisy world? This is where having the right guidance really matters.
Absolutely. And we should pause here to mention, if you are looking for support on this path, you really need to check out the website and the services offered by Starseed Psychics.
Yes, which was founded by Master Spiritwalker, the author of the text we're discussing today, and his co-founder, Gypsy Wind.
They have created this incredible sanctuary online. They offer amazing readings to help you find your path, but it's more than that. They do healings, they offer spiritual products, and they are really focused on supporting this exact journey of clarity.
They are very clear about their mission to help people tear down old false beliefs. It aligns perfectly with this idea of the quiet exodus, clearing the noise to find the actual signal.
Right, and what's really cool is that Master Spiritwalker doesn't just write about this stuff from an ivory tower, he lives it.
He really does.
If you look at his other work, specifically his YouTube channel, Preparing for the Collapse, which used to be called Forgotten Wisdom, you see the practical application of everything in this text.
It's the physical side of the spiritual coin. The article talks about the spiritual need to simplify, and the Preparing for the Collapse channel teaches you the exact practical skills to actually do it.
Exactly. We're talking about growing food, herbal remedies, canning.
Yeah, building what he calls quiet savings instead of flashing a big lifestyle. He even talks about growing food in containers if you're still in a city.
It's about capability. It's not just sitting around meditating on simplicity. It's getting your hands in the dirt.
And that groundedness is essential. You can't just disconnect from the system mentally. You have to build a physical reality that supports your independence. That is what Master Spiritwalker and Gypsy Wind embody.
So definitely visit the Starseed Psychics website to explore all of that. We'll have links in the description, of course. But let's get back to the text, because there is this beautiful metaphor Spirit uses to explain what is happening to our collective consciousness right now. He talks about a tree.
The pruning metaphor. This is probably my favorite image in the whole piece.
Me too. He says, a tree sheds excess branches not because it is dying, but because it is preserving strength.
I love this because when we look at society right now, the system's straining, people stepping back, scaling down from the outside, it looks like decay.
It looks scary to a lot of people.
It does. But Spirit suggests we reframe it. It's pruning. When a tree is under stress, it pulls its energy back into the core. It drops what it doesn't need to survive. It sacrifices the superficial to save the essential.
So by stepping back, we aren't disappearing. We are stabilizing.
We are trimming the excess stimulation. We're trimming the excess obligation. And most importantly, what he calls the excess identity.
Excess identity. That's a really interesting phrase. What does that look like in practice for someone going through this recalibration?
Think about how many identities we carry around every day. Your job title, your political affiliation, your online persona, your brand. Spirit is saying that in this time of collective strain, those things are incredibly heavy. They are psychic noise.
Yeah, when you drop them?
When you drop them, you get silence. And in that silence, your inner voice becomes audible again.
That's the real goal, isn't it? To actually hear yourself think, to hear your own soul.
You can't hear your intuition when you are drowning in the noise of the world. Simplicity grounds the soul. It reduces that psychic noise. It's a spiritual necessity for where we are right now.
It reminds me of what he says about redefining ambition in the later part of the article, because I think a lot of people struggle with this concept. They think, well, if I stop climbing the corporate ladder or if I stop trying to constantly network, am I losing my ambition?
That's the ego talking. The ego says, if I stop expanding outward, I don't matter anymore.
But Spirit flips that completely.
It does. He clarifies that you aren't losing ambition. Ambition is just shifting. It's moving from external expansion to internal steadiness.
Internal steadiness.
Yes. We have confused constant growth with meaningful expansion. You can grow incredibly deep without ever getting bigger in the eyes of society. Spirit calls this maturity, not apathy.
Maturity. I like that, because apathy implies you just don't care about anything anymore.
Right. Apathy is not caring. Maturity is caring deeply about the right things.
And he lists those right things. He calls them the sacred essentials.
Food, shelter, meaningful work, true connection, and silence.
Such a short list.
But look at it closely. Food, shelter, meaningful work, true connection, silence. Is there anything truly vital missing from that list?
Not really. Everything else.
Everything else is optional. It's decoration.
And realizing that everything else is optional is incredibly liberating. It takes the weight of the world off your shoulders. You realize you just don't have to carry it all.
You know, just talking through this deep dive right now, it makes me feel calmer.
It resonates with the truth of our situation, doesn't it?
It does. It feels like permission to exhale. When large systems strain, consciousness adapts by seeking steady ground rather than trying to keep climbing unstable ladders.
And I think that's exactly why Spirit calls it the quiet exodus, because it's not going to be on the news tonight. No anchor is going to say, breaking news, millions of people are quietly enjoying a cup of tea and opting out of online debates.
No, it won't trend. It won't dominate the headlines. But as Spirit says, it is happening everywhere.
And he says it might be one of the healthiest collective adjustments we are making right now.
I agree completely. Choosing simplicity isn't a retreat. It is profound wisdom.
So as we wrap this up, I really want to leave you, the listener, with this feeling. If you have been feeling that urge to pull back, to cancel the extra plans, to grow the tomato plant, to just be quiet, you aren't retreating.
No, you are acting with wisdom. You are listening to a very old part of yourself that knows exactly what is needed to stabilize right now.
It's a brave thing to do in a world that is this noisy.
It truly is.
We want to make sure you have the resources to keep exploring this on your own. We mentioned them before, but please do check the description of this deep dive. We have a link provided there for you to purchase books by author Spiritwalker, that's Master Psychic Spiritwalker, and also books by author Cheyenne James, who is Psychic Gypsy Wind.
Their writings are fantastic resources if you want to go further into these topics.
And of course, visit the Starseed Psychics website to explore all the services we mentioned earlier.
It's a great place to find that steady ground.
It really is. And I want to leave you with one final, somewhat provocative thought to mull over. Something derived from Spirit's text. We live in a world that is utterly obsessed with more.
Always more.
Always. But perhaps the most powerful thing you can do right now is decide that you already have enough.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thought.
Think about it. Is your silence actually your greatest strength?
Definitely something to explore.
Something to explore indeed. Thank you so much for listening to Beyond the Veil.
Take care, everyone.